said today? She said, weather could get interesting right as you start services. And the wind is blowing outside. It's quite exciting. It's quite good. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. We're inside where it's nice. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Shabbat shalom, 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 Shabbat shalom.
Welcome. It's so nice to have you all with us for Shabbat this evening. I know the weather outside is a little patchy, but we will get through it here together. And we'll go ahead and start on page 2 with reading number 1. Many are the generations of Israel, and in every age we have sought the living God through Shabbat, rest, and worship. This time and place hold the power to increase our joy in the eternal. O God, even as we seek you in the sanctuary, help us to know that your glory fills all space. Make us understand that you are with us at all times, if we but open our minds to you. Feel hands on our ways. May we be your witnesses to the world, your messengers to all the earth. On page 24, you'll find the words for Shalom Aleichem.
Beautiful melody by Debbie Friedman. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, בואכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We'll turn back to page 5 for reading number 3. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the peace in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ויומכון, ובחיי דכו בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. בריחו לאלה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ויאמרו Amen.
We'll stand in body and spirit for our call to worship on page 6.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmeroteim barakia kirtzono, bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We'll read on page 8. One and only God, you have made each of us unique and formed us to be united in one family of life. Be with us, Eternal One, as we seek to unite our lives with your power and your love.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We'll continue with Ve'ahavta on page 9.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We'll talk about freedom in the Micha Mocha, and we will offer the words of reading 2 at the top of page 10. High and exalted, great and awesome, God ever humbles the proud and raises the lowly, frees the imprisoned, redeems the afflicted, helps the oppressed, answering our people when we cry out. Praise to God Most High, blessed is God and deserving of blessing. In great joy, Moses, Miriam, and Israel responded with song to you, all of them proclaiming.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh, v'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, ug'alo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai, ga'al Yisrael.
And we'll read responsively on page 11. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who suffer find solace. May all who despair find purpose. And may this day fulfill its promise. We'll turn to page 12 for Vashamru.
V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'torotam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi shavat va'inafash. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Many things change when we get to the month of Elul. One moment, please. Most of the year, when we sing Shema, it's the way we did it earlier this evening. Sometimes we'll do Shema Yisrael. Baruch Hu has a few Shabbat melodies, and on the High Holy Days, usually it's Baruch Hu. We get that major High Holy Day motif. Da-dee-da-da. You sing with me. Da-dee-da-da-da-da-da. That goes Things shift also at this point in the service during the High Holy Days. You've been very, very patient with Cantor Perper this year. He has sung some new melodies, but I'm trying to be repetitious so that we can all be together. But this year we're going to start a new tradition at Shalom. We're going to begin a High Holiday Amidah melody for Avot V'Imahot and Givurot. And we're going to do it, I'm just going to begin doing it this evening even though it's not Elul yet. Next week will officially begin Elul, and on Friday nights, we're going to sing these melodies for the High Holy Days. Now, thanks to the magnificent office staff, I've made recordings of the first two brachot for the High Holiday Amidah, Avot V'Imahot and Givurot, and you can find those on the Shalom website and listen to it in your car and listen to it all the time. Turn off Sirius XM and listen to Cantor Purper. I'm not really going to teach it to you, but I'm going to sing this melody. We'll rise in just a moment, and this will be the beginning of our Amidah this evening as we begin to take on this new time, the new time of reflection of the month of Elul. And we all do this together. This is we're building up to the heaviest time of the year. Anything to add, Rabbi Kozlowski?
Just that we are, as you said, building up to this highest, holiest time of the year, and so we have melodies that help us engage in that work. So let's do it together. We'll
Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka ve'Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei HaKol ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot Umevi geula livnei v'neihem lema'an shemo be'ahava. And then the choir will sing a beautiful four-part Zochrenu, reminding God to remember us for life. But tonight we'll sing a different melody. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chodveinu b'sefer hachayim, v'chodveinu b'sefer hachayim, lemancha Elohim chayim. Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. The congregation can sing Amen. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim
ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים זוכה יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמנתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אמן. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Perfect timing for a little rain. We'll be seated and we'll finish the rest of the Amidah, starting with the reading at the top of page 15. O God of Israel's past, O God of this day, God of all flesh, creator of all life, we praise you, the Most High, for the gift of life. We give thanks, O source of good, that life endures. Eternal and infinite one, help us to use our life for blessing, to live by your law, to do your will, to walk in your way with a whole heart. We thank you, eternal God, for the blessing of life.
Amen.
Our thoughts turn to those in our community in need of healing of body, mind, and soul. We send them our love and prayers for a refuah shlema, a full healing. Our Congregation Shalom family is thinking of Shandol Bat Frida Malka, Shirley Graham, Laura Bublitz, Keturah Bublitz, Ari Bublitz, Julie Borochoff, Margot Raz, Carol Dubin, Carrie Yudkovich, Otto Feller, Samsara Vizkaya, Sharon Rotman, Eliyahu Ben Maximella, Bob Radke, Lyle Rubel, Mark Cook, Moshe Ben Nechama, Karen Pearson, Jeanne Bass, Alan Turner, Judy Weingarten, Myron Dvorkin, Sybil Savalsky, Esther Cohen, Lauren Cheris, Matt Cheris, Lisa Furstad, Terry Finch, Vince Tomkowitz, Harav Ilana Miriam Batava, Faye Levin, Sarah Rachel Bat Yocheved Alexander, David Feldner, Keely Golopal, Prue Precourt, Linda Berlin, Alan Elias, Tia Barrett, Wendy Salzberg, Adrian Kotradimos, Kim Teplinsky, Steve Plotkin, Kathy Peltz, Avram Ben Naftali, Neville Sender, Emma and Max, Doug Cruz, Nadiva Sarah Bat Liba, Sharon Rothstein, Deborah Bat Yehuda Malchus, Judith Naiman, and Carol Rovner. If there's anyone that you're thinking of at this time, please hold them in your hearts, and we'll sing Misha Berach together on page 17.
the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We'll take a moment now for silent prayer, maybe to listen to the rain outside.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו, Amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens cause peace to reign among us, all Israel and all the world. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, Adonai tsuri v'go'ali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
Son imre fi vegion libi iu leratson imre fi vegion libi lefanecha Son imre fi vegion libi iu leratson imre fi vegion libi lefanecha Adonai tsuri, Adonai tsuri v'go'ali, Adonai tsuri, Adonai tsuri v'go'ali. Ratson imre fi vegion libi iu leratson imre fi vegion libi lefanecha.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. In this week's Torah portion, Re'eh, we are given a rubric for how to help those in need in our community. First, we are to release debts every 7 years in what is called the Shemitah year. All debts owed by members of the community are forgiven in this year. This gives people a chance to wipe the slate clean, hopefully to prevent a negative cycle of perpetual debt. Then we are told that if there are those in need among us, we must not harden our hearts or tighten our fists against them. We must open our hands and lend whatever is sufficient to meet the need. To take it a step further, we are warned against thinking about how close the Shemitah year is when we lend. Moses reminds us that we should give as readily when the Shemitah is 6 months away as it is when it's 5 years away. The likelihood of the needy repaying the debt should not impact our desire to help. This financial outline provides ethical structure to the social fabric of the Jewish community. When any of us are in need, the rest of us do what we can to help. In chapter 15, verse 8, we hear, V'ha'avet ta'avitenu, de machzoro asher yechzar lo. Lend whatever is sufficient to meet the need. We hear this in the context of the Shemitah year, but as Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs points out, the Mishnah, Jewish oral tradition, extends it to laws of tzedakah, which we usually take to mean charity, but it can also mean distributive justice and equity. The rabbis determined the phrase sufficient to meet the need to mean the basic necessities: food, clothing, shelter. Basing his material off the Mishnah, Maimonides wrote a volume meant to explain in precise detail and common language what the Jewish laws were and how to follow them. Within that work, he details something familiar, Maimonides' ladder of tzedakah. It describes the 8 levels of giving to the poor. First is the person who gives, but gives grudgingly. And a few rungs higher, the person gives after being asked. As we go up the ladder, we reach the giver who does not know the recipient of their tzedakah, but the recipient knows who gave it. Eventually, we reach the highest rung of the ladder, when the giver teaches the person in need how to be sufficient for themselves. If we follow Maimonides' example, giving what is sufficient might be more than meeting basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. Let's go back to Rabbi Lord Sachs' definition of tzedakah as distributive justice. For years, there's been an ongoing conversation about raising the minimum wage. Over the last decade, the debate was over an increase to $15 an hour, and the pandemic has brought more attention to the issue. Many large corporations have maintained that increasing the minimum wage would either compel them to downsize their workforce or drive up prices for consumers. Small businesses echoed these concerns, voicing their desire to retain local employees and remain in business. When people lost their jobs during the pandemic, many thought long and hard about whether they would return to low-paying work that on its own might or might not allow them to provide for their families. Seeing this shortage of returning employees, an ice cream parlor in Pittsburgh decided to try raising its minimum wage to $15 an hour. Co-owner Jason Hanchar shared that Clavin's ice cream parlor was able to fill 16 open staff positions, basically overnight, once they made the increase public. He's noticing the positive effects for his employees and himself. They are steady, no longer having to work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, and happier to have one stable job. Their interactions with customers are better too. Paying them a livable wage makes these workers feel more safe and secure. Of course they're happier and having more fun, positive interactions with others. It's a long-term solution that preserves the dignity of the person in need. This Shabbat, may we think of our own ways to help those in need in our community, remembering their wholeness and holiness. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We'll begin to conclude our service with Aleinu on page 18. And we'll stand together.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומולדים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
We recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. This week, our Congregation Shalom community remembers Dr. Leslie Sandlow, Norman Sheminsky, Faye Kohlberg, Dr. Jerome Yitti Cornfield, Jordan Ray Peterson Hare, Dr. Dennis Nathan, Donald Buddy Rubin, Mary Bear, Albert Bello, Sam Berlin, Ruth Bernstein, Louis Bookstaff, Perry E. Cohen, Eva Dietz, Jean Dolgan, Minnie Ellenson, Pearl Fishman, Joe Gerson, Miriam Gindlin, Bernice Gratch, Robin Gratch, Marion Hahn, Roger Hirsch, Sandra Hoffman, Myron B. Katz, Susan Carol Cope, Harold Levy, Joseph Lurie, Molly Maller, Marvin A. Margolis, Rose B. Meldman, Annabelle Meyerson, Paul Moskowitz, Ruth Nathan, Willetta Billy Pyatt, Dan C. Renko, Benjamin Resnick, Betty Riley, William Rossman, Elaine Schwartz, Sam Saman, Vera Sims, Morton Sossoff, Marcel G. Stein, Raymond Strauss, Geraldine A. Weinberg, Dr. Harvey M. Wickman, Rosalind Wolf. If there are any names that I mispronounced or any that you'd like to add, please do so as my eyes meet yours. In addition to those names, we add those that we hold in our hearts, as well as those who no longer have someone to say Kaddish for them. And we'll stand together as a community for Mourner's Kaddish on page 20. Yit Gadal V'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma Divra Chirute V'Yamlich Malchute, V'chayechon U'Vyomechon U'Chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala ubizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya. V'itbarach, v'shabach, v'itpa'ar, v'itromam, v'itnaseh, v'ithadar, v'it'aleh, v'ithalal, shemed kudasha, barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And together we say, Amen. Amen. And turning from our sorrows to our joys, please be seated. I'd love to invite up our President, Brent Arnold, to give the announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi Kozlowski. Shabbat Shalom, congregants.
Shabbat Shalom.
I want to start by thanking you all for recently participating in our High Holy Days survey. We had over 400 responses, and that really helped us in planning what is best for Congregation Shalom. First, I was really pleased to see that nearly all that responded have been fully vaccinated. That was great news. With lots of hard work from all our clergy and staff, they presented and reviewed our High Holy Day plans on Tuesday night with our reopening committee. Then last night, it was approved at our executive committee meeting. Understanding that the circumstances we are in today are still fluid, I am very pleased to announce that we still plan to be here in person for our High Holy Day services this year. Look for more details to come out next week and ways to register for the requested High Holy Day services. Brian Avner, our Director of Education, has also been very busy meeting with the religious school teachers and planning for the upcoming religious school year. At this point, our plan is to reduce the class sizes by having 2 separate school sessions in order to remain in person. Sunday school and Hebrew school registration will be out in the coming days, with all the details included. Thanks to our entire staff and clergy for helping us navigate back to Congregation Shalom while doing our best to keep our community as safe as we can. I know it's not easy, it's not an easy task, and it will take flexibility from all of us to remain successful. Our next Social Action Committee meeting is coming up this Thursday, August 12th at 6:30 via Zoom. Under the leadership of Steve Rubinitz and Bill Gartenberg, this committee is doing great work to continue to fight hunger in our community. Please feel free to join on Thursday if you have a passion to create positive social changes in our community. Our Shalom Dayenu Circle has planned a Jewish call to climate action on Thursday, August 19th at 4 o'clock. They will participate in a blowing of the shofar outside the offices of Senator Tammy Baldwin as they show support for her environmental leadership. Please reach out to David Wolfson for more details on that. Torah study begins tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Shabbat service follows at 10 o'clock. Daily Minyan remains every day at 5:45. And What's New is on Thursdays at 10 a.m. You can find those here in person or on Zoom. Well, today was also the closing ceremonies of the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. And although it did look and feel a bit different from what we are used to, it was still great to see athletes from opposite sides of the globe and very different backgrounds coming together to embrace in unity and the Olympic spirit. And Israel won a gold medal in men's gymnastics, and they even had an Olympic baseball team this year. So Mazel Tov to Team Israel, and have a wonderful Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
If you say go Bucks, what do you say for the Israelis? I'm not sure. I don't know. I want a 5 to, what? time for another discussion. Thank you.
So we'll continue with lighting the candles, and that's on page 21.
As the day becomes night, the velvet cloak of darkness descends, enveloping us in its warmth. We snuggle into its folds, eyes closed, breathing deeply. We feel at peace. We feel the cares and worries of the day fall away, leaving quiet, contentment, and serenity. We see, even with eyes closed, two small pinpoints of light drawing us close, causing us to feel a warmth inside as well as out. We smile and embrace them as we do each week, as our ancestors did, as our children will do each week. Beautiful. Thank you, Rabbi. We continue now with Kiddush, and we can all read together on the bottom of page 22. Page 22.
The commandment to bless this wine is a commandment to drink life as deeply as we drink from this cup.
It is a commandment to bless life and to love deeply.
It is a commandment to remember with Shabbat heart, to act with Shabbat hands, to see the world with Shabbat eyes. It is a commandment to laugh until we are all laughter, to sing until we are all song, to dance until we are all dance, and to love until we are all love.
This is the wine that God has commanded us to bless and drink. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim l'shalom.
L'chaim. We'll continue with our final song. Our closing song is Adon Olam on page 25.
This might be the number one melody, written by a great German composer named Gerowitsch. Can you say Gerowitsch?
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa b'chefzo kol hazai melech shemol nikra be'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora vehu haya vehu hove vehu yiyeh בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ועירה ועם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא אירא.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Lai dai 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 dai. Hey dai 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 dai. Hey dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. And to all those at home, we say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.